So this Thanksgiving, tomorrow, we have a Packers versus Lions matchup. This will be the second time these two teams face off against each other. The first matchup was in Week 4 at the end of September. And let's just say it was not pretty for the Packers, who were down 27-3 early. They tried to rally back, scored a little bit in the second half, but still ended up with a loss, losing 34-20. But I do think this is a very different Packers team than we saw in Week 4. We all know this is one of the youngest teams, or actually the youngest team in the NFL. And of course, there are going to be some kind of growing pains. And we have seen that happen. The Packers going through that 4-game losing streak. But the past couple of weeks, we have seen massive improvements from this Packers young offense. The Packers defense has played surprisingly well. Now currently ranked the 10th best scoring defense in the NFL. So we got to give some props to Joe Barry. But this week, we are facing a Lions team that I think has one of the better offenses in the NFL. The number 6 scoring offense in the NFL, led by Jared Goff in a very good rushing attack. They have the 5th most rush yards per game, the 4th most pass yards per game. And before last week's matchup against the Chargers, I honestly did not think the Packers defense was going to be able to hold the Chargers offense in check enough to allow the Packers to win that game. And I was wrong. I was 100% wrong on that take. And so now looking at this week, can the Packers, recreate that performance versus the Chargers, where the Chargers have a top 10 scoring offense in the NFL, and the Packers were somehow able to keep them in check enough to allow Jordan Love to come in there, 5 minutes left in the game, throw a beautiful touchdown pass to Romeo Doubs. And the way this Packers defense is successful is, we all see that, opposing offenses lots of times are able to slowly move the ball down the field. Joe Barry loves to keep everything in front of him, which at times can be frustrating, but so far this season it has worked. And the biggest factor, I think, in the win versus the Chargers was the Packers' red zone defense. The Chargers only scored one time on 4 different red zone attempts. So even though the Chargers' offense put up more total yards than the Packers' offense, the Packers were still able to hold the Chargers to 20 points. The Packers' run defense has not been good, and I think we've all seen that. We've all witnessed that this entire season. The Packers have the 28th ranked run defense in the NFL, and the Packers' run defense last week against the Chargers wasn't very good. We allowed 150 yards on 6.3 yards per carry, but because the Packers, as I already said, played well in the red zone, it was enough to allow the Packers to come in and win and have the victory. And so this week, there's no doubt it's a tough test against Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. But I think that we have seen that this Packers defense is slightly better than I think, at least I, in the recent past, have given them credit for. And seeing a performance against Justin Herbert, who I think is a top 10 quarterback in my opinion, seeing how well they played against him gives me at least a little bit of an idea that maybe not all hope is lost against this Lions team this time around. It's going to be tough, and I think the Packers, if they want to be able to keep the Lions offense in check, they have to be as good as they were in the red zone. They have to be able to force a few turnovers, which Jared Goff had 3 last week. And I just think when you look at this Lions team, yes, they're good, but the past 2 weeks they've had 2 very close games. Barely beat the Chargers 41-38, and then barely beat the Bears 31-26. So I don't think it's crazy to think the Packers are going to be in this game for a majority of the game. I really don't think it's crazy. When we look at the fact that Jared Goff last week, as I said, threw 3 interceptions, I think the Packers offense could potentially take an advantage in that area. The Packers secondary is pretty thin right now. Of course, we all know Rasul Douglas was traded. Jair Alexander has been missing some time. He may or may not play this Sunday. Carrington Valentine, I like what we've seen from him. Not perfect, but I really love the way he plays, his physicality, his toughness. And there's no doubt, there were some moments in that Chargers game where guys were just wide open. There were a few really, really bad plays. Even at the end of the game, Quentin Johnston had a chance to get the Chargers in field goal range, and he dropped it. So there were definitely some mistakes by the Chargers offense, and Justin Herbert was having his way a little bit. The rushing attack for the Chargers was having their way. And so I don't think the Packers offense is going to be able to stop the Detroit Lions running game, which is one of the best in the league. The Packers have not been able to stop the run, and yet still last week they somehow, got the win. But I think when we look at the Packers offense, on the other hand, there has been so much improvement. There has been lots of improvement from Jordan Love. And Jordan Love had probably his best game of the entire season last week. He threw his first 300-plus yard game, 322 yards against the Chargers defense. And you may say, well, the Chargers have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And while this is true, The Detroit Lions defense is only ranked one spot ahead of the Los Angeles Chargers. So it's not like the Packers are coming in and facing this really, really good Lions defense. That is not the case. As I already said, the Chargers put up 38 points on this Detroit Lions defense. The Bears were able to put up 31 points on this Detroit Lions defense. So why can't the Packers put up 30 points on the Detroit Lions defense? I see no reason why that wouldn't be the case. But one important factor we need to keep an eye on is Jayden Reed going to be able to play? He has a chest injury. If he's out, that's going to worry me a lot because he has been a crucial piece of this offense, not only when it comes to receiving, but also he's gotten some action in the running game recently on some end arounds where he's played really, really well. If he's out, that's going to make me a little nervous. Let's see. Hopefully he's fine. Dontavian Wicks may be out as well, which would mean that Christian Watson really needs to step up. He had a touchdown last week, but still hasn't really been producing on the stat sheet. And the fact that Aaron Jones is going to miss this game. Luke Musgrave sent to the IR with a lacerated kidney. Emmanuel Wilson, other running back, has also been sent to the IR. So the Packers are very thin right now on offense, but I still think that we've started to see what Jordan Love can do. We've started to see a little bit more consistency that was definitely lacking early in the season, and he's given me some confidence. And that's why I'm honestly don't think it's crazy to think the Packers can win this game. You may think I'm crazy, but I don't think it's that crazy to see them play so close with the Bears, play so close with the Chargers, who the Packers just beat. And so this is my prediction in this game. Thanksgiving game in Detroit. The Lions are probably excited. You know, we're at home against the Packers who no longer have Rodgers. I'm sorry, but the Packers are going to win this game. The Packers are going to win this game even in light of some of these injuries. The defense has done enough recently to keep the Packers in games. And my confidence in Jordan Love when it comes to late game situations is starting to grow. And so I'm going to say Packers win this game 31-24. That is my prediction. Hopefully tomorrow after the game I'll be here and we will be celebrating a win. If not, then that it is what it is. What can I say? But that is all for this one. If you want more Packers content, subscribe down below and please comment your prediction. Let me know what you're thinking about this game. And I hope you guys have an amazing Thanksgiving.